Hello and welcome to Sports Talk, a wrap-up of the winter sports season at East Brunswick High School. Hi, I'm Ken Saroka, and I'm joined in studio by Frank Noppenberger, the Supervisor of Athletics for the East Brunswick Public Schools. And Frank, I guess this winter is the nightmare of winters for an athletic director's schedule.
Certainly, and of course it's continued right into the spring. But after so many years, you're kind of used to it, and what's really neat about the whole thing, for lack of a better word, neat, is the other athletic directors and schools. Everyone's so cooperative that it's just a little hiccup, change a day to time or whatever. We only missed out on rescheduling one game, I believe, in the winter season. So sometimes it's at a disadvantage to us, and sometimes, believe it or not, it turns in our favor.
And so I went rescheduling. We were supposed to do a fall wrap-up sports show, but because of the weather and the reschedulings that were going on, both with our schedules and with the EBTV schedule, we couldn't do that, so we apologize for that. But now that the winter season is over, the headlines were dominated by basketball. Both girls and boys teams had really good seasons. EBTV covered a bunch of those games. Coach Keith Lane, let's start with the girls. Coach Keith Lane and the girls team.
Coach Keith Lane, way back when, as a matter of fact, I coached Keith Lane as a JV basketball player, and he was a special player back then. And then when he started teaching with us and started coaching, I just knew he was just a special individual. It is no surprise to me or those that know basketball that the girls are so successful under his leadership. He's a student of the game. He's a perfectionist. He coaches his heart out and teaches his heart out every practice, and he's teaching the game, teaching the game, teaching the game. And before long, we're going to be in that upper echelon of the state. There's no doubt in my mind, especially with this young 8th grade class coming up, a lot of returning players. But any accolade that Coach Lane gets this year, and he deserves it. He deserves it. He worked for it. He earned it. He could be the head coach of boys, girls, anywhere in the state. He's that good. And besides that, he's an outstanding teacher of phys ed down at Churchill. And he was assistant by Travis Retzlaff, new to the school system, but has a great background in basketball. So that was a real nice staff there.
Yeah, 16-7 regular season. This is, again, a great year. The girls basketball has taken kind of a back seat here at East Brunswick for a few years at least. Occasional spots of moments of glory here, but this team, any division championships or
no division championships. We're the #1 seed in the tournament, and we gained that by beating Piscataway. We are the only team that beat Piscataway in the GMC or the county, and we got the #1 seed. Because at that time we had the best record, and according to the seeding procedures, we deserved it. I mean, we earned it on the court. Would we have liked to made it to the finals? Absolutely. Did we go down with a great effort? Absolutely. And it was just a fun team to watch, and he did it by defense. We played defense. If you look at the scores and the score differential, the majority of our games, only 4 or 5 points, 3 points, 4 or 5, none of these big blowouts. It was all done by defense. Let me just mention, the letter winners, Ken. And before we do that, Ken, I want to thank you for volunteering your time, and Mr. McAvoy for helping out, and Katie Monaseski for help televising the athletic events, and Stu and Bob, certainly Bob Hankrow, Stu Cohen, Bob Hankrow for the wrestling. But Caroline Caruso was a senior with us. She's also an outstanding wrestler. She's going to, She's an outstanding volleyball player. She's going to go to Penn State. Good for her.
in volleyball?
No, I don't think she'll play volleyball.
Yeah, they're really good
there.
in volleyball
Right.
at Penn State, yeah.
Victoria Zachariah, outstanding person. I'm not sure where she's going yet, but I think she's starting shortstop for us in softball. About 2 consecutive years. Shortstop's her best game. Alex Calfor, AK as they know her, maybe our best defensive player. She's only a junior. She'll be back. And Tori Zachariah, they're only 2 seniors, her and Caroline. Kyle Nemeth, deadly outside shot. She's coming back. Caitlin Rowan, outstanding point guard. I just love the way she progressed throughout the year, especially her confidence building. Dana Scafani, no doubt about it. Outstanding all-around player. Could get 1,000 points for her. She was an all-conference performer voted on by the coaches this year. And then the accolade she gets, like Keith, it's a result of hard work. Julie Simos, one of the streakiest shooters I've ever seen. She'll shoot the three and hit 3 or 4 in a row, and she's an outstanding soccer player as well. Kim Anderson, I'm not sure, I bet she was about 90% from the foul line this year. She's also coming back. Sydney Greenspan and Allie Warren, 2 outstanding big men. So the future's great, very bright.
And Sydney's only a sophomore.
Right, and they're all underclassmen there coming back, plus that 8th grade team. And the 9th grade team under Coach Marino did a great job. I think they had like 16 wins. And let me just mention that Kevin Monaseski coached the 8th grade team. They're undefeated, and throughout the whole year, they weren't even challenged.
Can we talk about boys basketball? Because once again, getting our hearts ripped out by St. Joe's. And even in class, when talking with some of the students of the Bear Den, 1 victory, 2, you can't beat us 3 times in a row. And just to have that again, that St. Joe's hoisting the GMC trophy.
With that being said, St. Joe's, I think, is a better team than us. When we played them in the opening game here at East Brunswick, when we could have beaten them. It was real close. It was home court advantage. We caught them by surprise, and that's what basketball is. We changed up a couple things on them, and we stayed in the game. But in the bigger court, they're more athletic. They're better than us. Look, they won the TSC.
Yeah.
They got 5 Division I players. But, we're the #1 public school in the county. There's no doubt about it. We took care of that. We made it right all the way to the semis. St. Joe's was the only team to beat us in the conference. A couple of the kids, Gary Baumer, John Emery and I were talking, without doubt, the best 3-point shot we've ever had, shooter. But he could be challenged by Matthew Ross. I'm not sure if Matt will score as many, but he certainly will be as accurate. Amir Bell, can't speak enough about him. He's gone to Princeton. He's a point guard. Austin Comber was a manager for us. What an outstanding kid as a manager. If there was an award for all conference managers, all state, he would be it. We had backups with Billy Donahue and Joe Jenko. The role that they played, and of course Greg Sampson, and Greg's starting third base for us, the role they played can't be described unless you're a coach or an athlete and you understand. Every day in practice, challenging the varsity, working hard and pushing them. So my hat's off for them. And they were part of a special team, and they'll always be part of that. Owen Summer, probably better known as a volleyball player. He'll be an all-state volleyball player if he overcomes a short injury. Had that monster dunk first points of the game at the rack, which that'll be my top 25 highlights of a particular play. Carl Taylor, in my opinion, the most underrated and unsung basketball player in the conference. Very seldom in the paper, but in the end, when he really had to, state tournament, and in the game against Sayreville in the semis, layup after layup, driving, basket, throwing his body up in the air to make that layup. Ralph, sophomore starting for us. He's going to be okay. I mentioned Matt Ross. Fitzgerald's a junior. John McHenry's a junior. They're coming back. And Tyler McNamara, you'll understand this one. I always see him as like a Dave DeBuscher player. Not because he plays baseball like Tyler, but because he's that rugged individual power forward type of kid. So an undefeated JV team, not undefeated, but a conference or a East Brunswick tournament champion JV team under Rich Whaling. They're coming back with that team. The freshman team had 16 wins. With these kids coming back, I think we'll be in the same spot as we were this year, with Coach Monaseski as the head coach, and with Richie Whalen as the assistant. Never skipped a beat. So congratulations to those guys. Outstanding coaching job.
Now let's focus our attention now on the track team, winter track. Can we assume that their track meets are indoors during this rather nasty winter that we've had?
Well, we practice indoors in the terminal. We do a lot of running outside, but most of the meets are outside. They used to have outdoor meets But what has happened over the years is just the weather, so everyone just runs indoor. But we had not a good. We met our expectations this year on winter track. We didn't have the outstanding athlete, but we were competitive in the big meets. I'm in Salih, S-A-L-E-H, outstanding pole vaulter, and he does a lot of this training on his own. Think about it, where are you going to pole vault? You've got to go out on his own. He was like an all-conference performer, all-area performer in the pole vault. Anthony Belgrave, one of our sprinters, his best days are ahead of him as a sprinter. He's going to get bigger, he's going to get stronger. And then Brandon Young, I don't know if you've ever had him in class, outstanding individual. 12 seasons, 12 sports, and has a 4-point-something GPA. So that was the boys winter track. Girls winter track, again, they suffered a little bit with injuries. Sarah Frost hurt most of the year. We're expecting good things from her. Hopefully she's rested up for the spring. Rachel Wong is just an exceptional person. And a surprise to me was Megan Costello. Megan is a 3-sport athlete. Okay, outstanding in field hockey and certainly a second baseman in softball. But in track, she really came in their own, and you never know. She may just turn away from those 2 sports and go into track. Just kidding. in college, but they were the highlights of that individuals of the track team.
Let's turn our attention now to the bowling teams, both the boys and girls bowling team. Coach Doug Spischak coaches both of them. Kind of up and down years, record-wise, doesn't indicate perhaps the quality there. Boys 4-11-1, girls, as I'm looking at the notes here, 6-8-1.
Yeah, you know, it's funny about that, Ken. Middlesex County has taken off as a power in bowling in the state, especially in the girls. We had like a losing record in around 500. We're in the top 20 in girls bowling. That's that because all our wins were at the people above us. That's how competitive our girls bowling is in the county. And the boys, kind of a rebuilding year, but they had great school. They had great team spirit, great sportsmanship. They worked hard, and I know Ari and Philip did the best that they could, and that's all we ask. Lauren Dressel's an outstanding individual. Her, Rachel, and Brittany. We're going to be okay in the future in bowling because they got the work ethic. We have an outstanding coach. And, you know, sometimes the other teams just happen to be better this year. St. Joe's, like I said, in boys basketball. Piscataway in girls basketball.
Does it hurt because we've lost, and it's been a few years now, we've lost that one bowling alley in East Brunswick, Mid-State Lanes?
No, we never even went there. The kids may have on their own, but it's just a little cycle, and we're going to be back on top in the next couple of years. It's just sometimes that happens. Plus, the conference was exceptional this year. If they didn't have the exceptional bowlers this year, we would have been in the upper echelon of the teams.
Let's take a minute right now, just take a time out and talk about the role of Phil Hassler, the athletic trainer, in these seasons. Before we get back to the teams, I mean, Phil's always there, and every match it seems at home, even helping out the away teams if they're the visiting teams have injuries, and he has a great core of student trainers that work with him, and I would think that from your point of view, when they did the remodeling of the school many years ago, and it gave him that extra facility, the space that he needed, that was just something, not just a reward for his hard work, but it's something like that you can see it. It's kind of a program in and of itself, the athletic trainer program.
Well, it is because we have students involved, and we also have a part-time trainer, Laurie DeFazio, that did a lot of work at Churchill this year. And speaking of that room, that was the vision of the Board of Education and the administration to see that we need to catch up with that training room. It was a tiny little room. You couldn't squeeze but 1 or 2 kids in there. And now it's one of the best around with the different stations and the different areas for the kids to rehab or work or get treatment. Phil is a Hall of Fame athletic trainer. We know that. Everyone has confidence in him, the parents, the kids, the coaches, and his opinion is always well respected.
And we now go back to the sports programs here, the boys and girls swimming programs. A lot of surprises there. Well,
yeah, one real big one of my highlights for my next 25 years, Ken, the girls swimming team, they were GMC champs. Like the boys, they went into the GMC championships as the underdog to Bishop Bar, a team that they lost to earlier in the year by just a few points. And they did a great job at the banquet last night. Mrs. Glasscock and her crew did a great job putting together their swimming banquet. And each of the seniors get up and they give a speech, and every one of them mentioned how Coach Sundberg, who was Division Coach of the Year, Star Ledger Coach of the Year, Home News Coach of the Year, and all of those well-deserved, how he worked them, how hard he worked them. And he's got a plan. He's got a plan about how hard we're gonna work, and they're gonna taper off, and got ready. And he had them peak at the right time, the boys and the girls in the finals. The boys just missed out to St. Joe's, but like basketball, they were the #1 public school in the county, and they just had a tremendous year. Their only loss, obviously, was at St. Joe's, and then they also lost in the States. But a couple of the boys from her, Greg James. Now, for the boys, Coach Sundberg, he believes he's the most decorated swimmer we've ever had. I don't know. We've had a couple state champions, but we have to check the record book. But what a fine young man. He's going to have his choice of schools. He was all division, all conference. Dan was another outstanding swimmer. Dan Wee, Kevin Chow, and Alex Krish. They did a great job in keeping us in all the meets and keeping it close. And as I told the parents last night, Ken, unless you're involved with that swimming, you see it, you don't understand the grind and the dedication that they have. Getting on the bus, going over to Middlesex, swimming, drying, showering, cooling off, getting back on the bus, and every day getting back at 6:30. What a dedicated group of athletes. And you're in that swimming pool, it's 80 degrees, and all you do is swim. It's not like basketball, you can shoot some foul shots and work on offense, work on defense. It's just different types of swimming. So the admiration I have for wrestlers and swimmers is just amazing. And girls, Victoria Glasscock, she'll certainly go down as one of our all-time great swimmers. She's certainly going down as one of my all-time favorite kids. Colleen Dwyer, another outstanding young lady, going to East Stroudsburg, I believe, and she wants to be a speech therapist. Sarah Park, and just another individual. That banquet last night was it was just great to see these kids, hear what schools they're going to, what colleges. Their GPA team GPA has got about a 3.9, Ken, it's got to be.
And another surprise, not really a surprise to those who know him, but we have some great news on the wrestling front with the state champion. And I know I was following the live blogs as somebody was going through that last match, the championship match, and how they were every like waiting for that update, the next update, and then finally ended the third period, a 6-5 victory.
Well, the final was exciting. I was lucky enough to get right on the mat there, in case John needed a little advice. Sure. And he jumped out quick on the kid, and kid reversed him, and then there was a little controversy about a couple calls here or there, but he was always in control. John was always in control. Never seen a more focused athlete. His goal was to win a state championship. I swear the only time he laughed all year and smiled was at the championship match after he completed it.
Undefeated season too.
Undefeated. Definitely our best wrestler of all time. I said that about a couple kids. I always think Amir is our best basketball player of all time. John, hands down, if you count, district champions 4, region champion 4, state place winner 4 times, GM champ 4 times, most wins. I think he's got most pins. And other than that, he's a great role model for these young guys.
And that was, like I said, a very, very good season, not only just for John, but for...
we had Michael Quinton.
Yeah.
He got over 100 wins. 2 kids same year. Sam Kim had a great job. He was a district champion. So we were rated 5th, 6th in the county in wrestling, but our record was just about 500. Again, that's because we wrestled the best competition, and we want to prepare them for the next level, which is the tournaments. And, the wins and losses, they're important, but if you can get in the tournament and you wrestled competition, you're good. Let me give a shout out to Samantha Nicolero, one of our outstanding managers. Just a great young lady, quality individual. And to all the managers out there, let me just thank them on behalf of the coaches. A job that doesn't get the recognition, but is needed and necessary by every coach. And so we thank them, and Sam, thank you.
And you mentioned, you said how many different matches did John Schliefer win?
Well, this year,
this
four-time
year?
champ in the districts,
Okay.
the conference, the regions, and he placed in the state for.
And over 100 career wins, you said?
Oh, he's in the one whatever. But Mike Quinton's got over 100 too. And to do that in the same year, 2 wrestlers, very special. And going down to Atlantic City and watching him win was very exciting. If you could,
that must be such a crazy scene when you think about, the big boardwalk hall, and they would have like eight mats on the floor.
Yeah, but at the finals, it's just one.
Okay.
They do a great job of this, and I've asked one of the wrestling guys down there, do you think Iowa High School, which is renowned wrestling, does something similar? And they said not as good. They bring out the wrestlers, they march them in, they bring Hall of Fame wrestlers in, they honor outstanding wrestlers, old coaches. It's a class thing.
And that's unlike the other tournaments, which are regionalized, with Central Jersey Group 4 and then the different groupings. I mean, that seems to be the concentration of the wrestlers there in Atlantic City.
Well, think about it. They sell out. They sell out. You can't get a room in Atlantic City. It's all down there for wrestlers. And these wrestlers, they know who the champion was in 1988 and 89. I mean, it's just a culture. It's a great culture of wrestlers. And seeing John when he gave one of these as he walked off the mat, very exciting.
You ever count how many state champions in individual sports or individual competitions?
Well, wrestling,
plus tennis, wrestling.
He's our 7th. In my career, real quick, he's our 7th in wrestling. I was as a teacher or coach for 4 of those, AD for 2. Tennis, we've had 2 boys. Vivek and Ross, what was this? Oh man, he went to Duke and played. Female, I don't think we've had a state champion, although the Balasa girls came very close. They were runners-up. Swimming, we had a diver, Stefan Nadelman. How about that for a name? Way back when they had diving. And a young man named Mike Slawinski was a diving champion individually. Now, state champs in track, too many. Under Coach Ty and Coach Mandy, and now and Morris. I can't even remember them all, but that's just a few of the ones I remember, individuals.
We have to talk about it, like the East Brunswick Athletic Hall of Fame. I guess the trophy cases are already stocked.
We have the one for the coaches, for Coaches Hall of Fame, and they were on here last year, I believe, and we're working on, excuse me, possibly an Athletic Hall of Fame. But let me tell you, I don't want to be in charge of that, because how do you compare? How can you compare a track kid to a gymnastic kid? I mean, talk about individual gymnastics teams. Don Weider, every year he had one.
Yeah, so 17 out of 19 years, state champion.
And it's hard to compare this team with that team. And, someone's feelings always get hurt on those things, that.
The cheerleading squad is busy both in the fall and in the winter seasons.
I didn't want to forget about
and
cheerleading.
Not just cheering at the sporting events, but also in competitions too.
Well, the interesting about cheerleading is it's gone into an athletic event now. It's the competition that the cheerleaders go to is like a championship basketball or football game. The crowd, the emotion, the high and the low emotion. It's just it's outstanding. We had 4 this year. We took 2 first and a second, and we got a place in another one. But the girls were just outstanding, and they practice cheering for basketball games, and then another time of the day they'll practice, or same day, for the competition. And it's nerve-wracking for the girls because it's about
there's scholarship money involved.
Oh, there's
too.
a lot of
I
scholarships.
mean, this is not just
a lot of scholarships. We had a girl
trophies.
go down to Maryland a couple of years ago. But let me just mention our 3 captains: Daniel Alba, Sidney Casimera, and Daniel Lindeman. Great job. And I went to their banquet the other day, and just as good as the swimming team. Just a super event.
And Coach Caitlin LeBlanc, working with them?
Well, she's got great background as a coach at TCNJ and some other, and I think St. John Vianney, and you know, Nicole Olson, her assistant. They're really into the sport as much as Mark Mott is into basketball or Sundberg into the swimming. These guys, these two women are into the cheerleading.
All right, with the time we have remaining, what can we look forward to in the spring sports season?
In the spring sports season, I can guarantee we're going to have events. We're going to compete.
Rain only when we're not.
Well, we're struggling right now. We'll open up tomorrow, home baseball against South Brunswick track. Lacrosse is 1-1 right now, the boys. The girls had a big win. They beat South Brunswick. Last time South Brunswick lost to a team in girls lacrosse in the conference was about 4 years ago, and the Bears did it. So I think girls lacrosse is going to be pretty good. Tennis is going to be very competitive. Volleyball is going to be volleyball, you know. So I guarantee we'll be there. I guarantee we'll be competitive. We'll display good sportsmanship, and we'll do our best.
And we'd like to thank the EBTV technical crew. They come out in all 3 sports seasons, set up a couple hours before game time, are there a couple hours afterwards breaking down the equipment. Thank them for coming out in their support of East Brunswick High School athletics. And if you get an opportunity, schedules are posted in various places on the web, on the school district website, to come out and see a game in person. Spring weather, nice weather, perfect opportunity to come out and support East Brunswick High School athletics. For Frank Noppenberger, I'm Ken Saroka saying goodbye for Sports Talk, and we hope to see you at the game.